Hello, everybody. How is everyone? This looks good. This looks good. Let's just make this a little bigger. And I think we're okay. Da-da-da-dum. Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard. This is the Shortwave show. We talk about radio, and we are here twice a week, Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's 4 p.m. Pacific. That's 0 UTC. And on Friday, we are at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. That's 20 UTC. And we are glad to be here. And today I'm actually using the XH data because my SDR computer right now is updating with the latest build. So while it's updating, I'm using my portable that I plugged in to the MLA30 with this cable. So I'll be tuning the bands with the XH data D808 just right here in front of me. While we, of course, if we tune in some signals and whatever. Hope you enjoy the show today. So this is the Wednesday edition. We are Wednesday, December 4th, 2019. For those of you past the midnight, of course, you're in the Thursday, December 5th zone. It's nice to be here as usual. Hope you enjoy the show today. If you are a ham radio operator, we talked about it last week. This is one of two shows where why not have contacts together. Tell us what frequency you'll be contacting or calling CQ, and we will be tuning in and try to see if we can hear something, if you can hear your station on the HF bands. So if you're a ham operator, why not try that today? We'll try to see if we can hear you. So my name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. This is the northeast part of North America. We are here to entertain and have fun tonight with our radios and hope that you guys enjoy the show. I'm just going to do a little something here. Let's do this, and here we go. So kind of fun to be here. Right now I've got Voice of Vietnam on 7315.
The party committee of authorities and people of all ethnic groups in Pleiku City, Zalai province, celebrated the 90th anniversary of the founding of Pleiku City and received the Prime Minister's recognition for complete...
So that's Voice of Vietnam on 7315, as you guys can see here. And pretty strong signal using the MLA30 on the XH data here. Pretty cool to be listening to that. So, hey everybody, there's a beautiful chat room with amazing people, of course. If you if you have a Google or Gmail account, you can sign in and say hi. Bobby Burgess, nice to have you on board, WA5107 SWL in Louisiana, USA. Thomas Jekoway, yeah, you were probably too early. Imad Abbas, bonjour et bienvenue de l'Algérie. Nice to have you on board. Radio Wave Seeker, nice to have you here, my friend. Pretty cool to have you on board. Radioactive, nice to have you on board from Central Oregon. W7WXV. Hey, Jay Jolly. Usually from downtown Montreal. But now, for the next months, he will be in Costa Rica. And sitting by the pool having a beer. Wow. Lucky bum. Cheers. Hope you're enjoying your first few days in Costa Rica. Kingman, Public Access TV. Nice to have you here. Imagine live on planet with ionized atmosphere where VHF propagates like shortwave all day. There would be no repeaters. You could talk everywhere. Yeah, that'd be cool. That would be cool. It sometimes happens when Spartak E-Skip's really strong. Sometimes happens up to the VHF range. Joe Brown, nice to have you here from Southeast Michigan. Nice to have you here. Frédéric F4 ECA. Bonsoir et bienvenue de la France. C'est toujours un plaisir. Kevin Wood, nice to have you here from Nova Scotia. Wow, I was so surprised when you were posting that you heard Highway to Hell from AC/DC on China Radio International. That's kind of not really the kind of music they kind of play. Weird. Michael Satterfield, nice to have you here in South Carolina. K4AFT. Radioactive says, doing good. Downloading the latest WSJTX version. Cool. John McClure, nice to have you on board, my friend. Shelly, nice to have you here. Shelly Sykes. Pretty cool. Well, in my case, it's not that Kingman Public Access. Is that my SDR machine is on Insider Previews because I am a Windows. Ow! That's Paul the cat putting his claws in my lap. So just gonna show you guys a little bit of Paul here. Let's move this a little bit here. Move the camera down. I know you guys want to see him. This is Mr. Paul saying hi to everybody. Mr. Paul. So it's nice to have everybody here. What do we have? So anyways, that's it. I'm installing the latest build of Windows, which is 19035, as I'm a Windows Insider. Jersey Bound, nice to have you here from Jackson, New Jersey. Vince, salut et bienvenue de Deux Montagnes. Always nice to have you here, my friend. Whoops, I'm not in front of the microphone. Would be better, I guess. Chris Alpha Tango, nice to have you on board, and thanks for the nice comments. Northern Dawn, from a late England, but at least you're making it. Jerry DX, nice to have you here, my friend. What are you doing, Paul? Putting your odor on my microphone? Your scent to make sure that the microphone is yours, like the rest of the house? Yeah. What else do we have? Gaming Public Access. What if we have Pirate Station? Can you DX that too? Absolutely. We had one, and you know what? It was on for a long time. There was a Mix Radio International. I tuned it because I saw Brian Penny posted in the Facebook group, and I listened to it. It went on up to past 2300. It was pretty, really surprising how long it was broadcast. And by the way, we do have a very nice Facebook group if you want to join in, guys. It has the same name as the YouTube channel, official SWL channel. And on that Facebook group, of course, you can post pictures of your radios, share what you're listening to, and just, have fun with other radio guys. It's, like I say, an extension of this live show and the Facebook group. And it's been on, it's been existed for, 3 weeks now, roughly? And we're already at 260 members. And so you can join in. Got to answer the questions. It's very important. If you don't answer the questions, we are not accepting you. And, it's a great place to be. Official SWL channel is the name of the Facebook group. And there you can, of course, have fun. And there's a lot of activity. I really like it for that. There's really a lot of activity. We actually have a lot of people posting what they're listening to, and I often participate, and it's cool because during the day, since I work from home most of the time, I can actually look at what's happening, answer some of the questions sometimes, or post my comments, or even post what I'm listening to throughout the day on the radio here. So it's really, really cool to have that group. Up again right here. So it's really nice to have that group, and it's kind of cool to be part of it, and to have everybody participating. It's really a lot of fun to see all the activity there. Matt, nice to have you here. MDK2 in Colorado. William, KC9 TVN, nice to have you on board, my friend. Dave Belisle, nice to have you here from New Hampshire, WA1UJA. Matt Ambali, nice to have you on board from Colorado. Chuck Yunkin, nice to have you here, my friend. Kevin Wood, S7315, 30 over. It's really strong here, too. It's really, really strong. Radioactive is also listening to Voice of Vietnam, 7315. Vince, what is on 3850? 3850. That's in middle of the... what I hear is amateur radio operators. Because 3850 is... yeah, these are ham radio operators in the 80 meter band. That's what I'm listening here, hearing a few stations on 3850. Bobby Burgess, what Linux distro I got on my laptop? The one over here is Essential OS, which is a very stripped down version of Linux with the minimum on it. So it's actually good for older computers or older laptops that have a hard time running more modern, like, you know, I like Linux Mint and Ubuntu, but lately I find that, especially Ubuntu, is kind of way over bloated. It's like there's too much in it. And even Linux Mint, the last few distros, I find a little, it's nice, but there's a lot with it, you know. I wanted something that was very stripped down to the minimum. Matambali says 27025 CB channel. Let me try it. It was active good part of the day today. We'll leave it here and see if anything happens. 27025, which is the CB channel 6. Kingman Public Access 7315 is Voice of Vietnam via WHRI transmitter side, but it's Voice of Vietnam. What else do we have? Dave Belisle, 10 meter was open for a bit this afternoon. Yeah, because I had a lot of activity on 11 meters. I haven't heard some stuff. 27555. John McClure, wish you knew French. Oh, I heard that the other day too. Radioactive. There was an AIL transmission over Voice of Vietnam. I think it was when I was listening, like on Saturday night or something. I came across that. WF7I Homebrew, nice to have you here, my friend. And nice to have you here. Yeah, hours of continuous me. Don't you get bored of, listening to me at some point? Unpopcom, nice to have you here from South Central Pennsylvania. Yeah, that didn't feel good. You really, really... and I'm not wearing jeans as usual. I'm wearing thinner pants today, and these he just clawed in my in my lap here. William Helms, nice to have you here from Florida. Michael Setterfield, whoops, I lost. This is beautiful cat. Yeah, Paul is an amazing cat. What else do we have? Yeah, but they are controlled. I mean, it doesn't bother me. It tells you if there's an update, but it doesn't bother really. Windows 10 has been really been improved on that. It doesn't bother you really when you're doing stuff on the computer. But because I do talk about insider previews on my Windows Insider channel, I got to do it. I had to do it today. I had to do it now so that I can talk about it. Keegan, nice to have you here. XNEDXer in Northwest Arkansas. 52 Fahrenheit over there. Here it's snowing. So yes, Jay Jolie in Costa Rica. It's snowing outside. And it's about 0 Celsius, 32 Fahrenheit. And it's all white today. Not a big snow, but just, like that. Like a nice Christmassy snow, like you see in the Christmas movies. This little snow falling, it's pretty much what we had today here. Mark Ledford, nice to have you on board from Houston, Texas. Keegan is using, of course, his Ethon Grundig Edition Field BT radio. So, Doug F7I just back from running 3 miles on treadmill. Cool. Proper training for long time shortwave listening and DXing. Rufus Newt, nice to have you here from the Laurentian Valley in Ontario. Pretty cool. Bobby Burgess says the Christmas Village is saying, "Hey Paul, the Catzilla, we meet again." Yes, absolutely. He's I was fixing up the Christmas Village under my my Christmas tree, and Paul the Cat, of course, insists on going there, so it's really something. Kevin Wood, anyone else hearing 6185? 6185. 6185. There's something, but it's really in the noise, pretty much. It should technically be Are you guys hearing? Are you hearing a tone, Kevin Wood? I got like a tone on 6185. It should technically be Radio Educación from Mexico. William Moser, nice to have you here. Thomas Holland, Merry Christmas. Nice to have you here. Dave Thoughts 3850 broadcast in Europe. Ham hands at 3800. Yeah, here in North America, it goes all the way up to 4,000 kilohertz on the 80 meters. It's true that in Europe, the 80 meter band is smaller. William Helms, new VOA frequency this morning, never heard before. Cool. Arthur's Autocrafter's Kitchen, nice to have you on board from Massachusetts. Kevin Wood's been getting e-skip alerts. Yeah, well, I guess it happened today because I definitely was hearing a lot of 11 meter activity this afternoon. Bobby Burgess, have you tried installing GQRX on the laptop? Great for TLSDR dongles, but for the RSDR play, you need to have the API driver and SOAP layer. Yeah, no, I haven't tried yet. I'm actually using that laptop for work purpose. What I decided to do with the laptop here, because on the CIDX Messenger, I want to actually share my logs of what I hear every month. Plus the fact that with the utility column that I write, I'll end the utility column with with some of my own utility logs. And for practical purposes, even though I can do that, and multitask on my laptop, I rather have a different laptop where I just keep the word processor open and it just stays there. So when I listen to something, I just have to turn around and, put down on a page the loggings that I have, and that is the main purpose of that laptop now, basically. But I will check it out and see if I can try it out for sure. Prasad Soldekar, nice to have you here from India. Always nice to have you on board, my friend. Terry Cook, nice to have you here. KF7BQ in Montana. KC9KUH, nice to have you here. Jonesy 65244, nice to have you here. David KC0OUF. Cool to have everybody on board. Arthur's Alley Crafter says, "Zell, the photo of Paul and your YouTube, your tube radio on the Facebook page really captures what a sweet little cat he is." Oh yeah, he just jumped. I turned it on, and I was tuning the AM band on the tube radio, and he just jumped and decided that was the place he wanted to take a nap, and it's just so fun. I had to take a picture. It was just so beautiful. And there was the sunshine coming through the window at the same time. So it's like, wow, this is a beautiful picture of Paul. William Helms, 15175. Cool. Rob, nice to have you on board from Phoenix, Arizona. Shelly Sykes, dumb question about the time thing. UT always stays the same, right? So do broadcast times always stay the same? So, okay, most of the stations on shortwave abide by UTC and will stay the same UTC for their broadcast. Most. So any broadcast that is, say you're listening to Voice of America at 18 UTC, usually throughout the year they will change the frequency because of the seasons, but they will keep the 18 UTC time at the same time. So UTC time, most stations stay the same. There are exceptions to the rule. Radio Romania, Voice of Turkey tend to shift 1 hour when we change our times. But that's, I don't know why they do it. Honestly, I never understood why some shortwave stations continue shifting 1 hour when they shift their times when they could just use the same UTC always. But the problem is that even though UTC stays the same, when we change our clocks, one of the things that happens is that the reference we have to UTC changes. So, for example, here in Montreal, right now we're at -5. So I'm 5 hours behind UTC. So here it's 7 p.m. when it's, it's 7:21 p.m. right now, but it's midnight 21 UTC. In the summertime, because we advance our clock, we put our clocks forward 1 hour. What happens is now that reference is 4 hours. That means that if I would be 7:21 p.m. in July, I would be at 23:21 UTC because of the time shift. But UTC stays the same. And most broadcasters keep the same UTC time year-round. They just change the frequencies. Mike Jam, nice to have you here, my friend. William Conlon, nice to have you here. Rufus Newt, snowing here all day. Yeah, same thing here. Same thing here. Yeah, it's not sticking much here either. It kind of put a whitish coat, but it's really very, very thin. Fastlow, nice to have you on board, my friend. Jay Jolie. Gushy meaning of snow. Christmas mode? Absolutely. Yes, it's Paul Zilla. Matambali, yeah, Radio Education. It's very weak here too, but there's kind of a tone. It's very weak also. They often have that modulation very, very low. Fort Road Massive, nice to have you on board. I kind of hear that buzzer you posted yesterday on 4625. Yeah, in Ireland you should hear it quite well in general because you're closer to its origin, which is St. Petersburg, Russia. Let me just check it out here. Not hearing it on the XH data tonight. What else do we have? We have Melancholy Monk. Nice to have you here from UK. Northern Dawn has nothing on 6185. Bolin 191. Nice to have you here. Simon Templar. Nice to have you on board, my friend. Johnny DXer. Nice to have you on board. W3JMC. VE3KRP. Nice to have you here. Fast Eddie in Thunder Bay, Ontario. Pretty cool. My pleasure, Shelley. That's what we are here for. To explain stuff, talk about radio stuff and so on. Joe Gomez, nice to have you on board. Solar Drew, nice to have you here. Cheers. Yes, cheers. Hey, Brian Penny, nice to have you here from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. It's funny because I was looking at the Facebook group as you posted. I think it said you had posted one or 2 minutes before the Pirate Mixed Radio International on 5126. I listened to it until I lost it. I don't know if I lost it because of propagation or it just stopped, but you went on and on for quite a long time, actually. Am Extra, nice to have you on board. W5BL. Steve in Australia. How are you doing, my friend from the future on what is Thursday morning? Nice to have you over here. It's always cool to have everybody here. Today we're going to talk a little bit about some of the software we all use for different purposes on computers for our radio hobby. And I would like you guys, if you want to share some of that information about maybe software that you use for logging and stuff like that, why not share it with us? Let us know. We have hey Jay Watterson 69, nice to have you here. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the software, and I'll talk about some of the ones I use for decoding signals, but also got a few some apps and stuff that sometimes could be useful. 11780. We have Radio Nacional Amazonas in Brazil coming in quite well. 11780. This is Brazil in Portuguese. So that's Brazil. 11780. Radio Nacional Amazonas in Portuguese. With a pretty good signal. Lots of fading, but pretty good signal. 11780 for Brazil. We'll check the email and check the different places where people might be writing. We have Elizabeth that says hello from Regina. Says it's nice to be here on this Wednesday evening. Hello, everybody. What a great gang they are. Thanks for what you do. It's much appreciated. Thank you very much. And don't forget, guys. So hi, Elizabeth. And don't forget, guys, we have the Facebook group, which is official SWL channel. It has the same name as the YouTube channel here, and it's really a great place to continue. It's like I always say, it's an extension of the live shows. We also have let me just check it out here. We have Richard that is checking in via email, and Richard is located in the state of New Mexico, and he says hello, love your show, love everything you do. It's always a lot of fun to watch. I've been looking through the first ones that you did many years ago, which is kind of fun to see how you evolved. So it's kind of nice. So thanks, Richard, and nice to have you here. If you guys want to say hi through email because you're not in the chat room for some reason, official shortwave radio at gmail.com is a place to send me a little hello. And it's, of course, kind of cool to have all of you here. What else do we have? Fort Road Massive. So is CB radio sideband back? I used to DX around 30 years ago, only getting back into radio now. Well, it's much more quiet than it was in the past, that's for sure. But there's some stuff to listen to. You gotta. absolutely. Jean-Marc Letz, nice to have you on board from Strasbourg, France. Today I got a notification on my Twitter account from the at Shortwave Radios official SWL channel account. Is that an official account created by you? Yep, absolutely. At Shortwave Radios is my account that is created for the purpose of this channel. Absolutely. So you guys can actually follow me through that account on Twitter at Shortwave Radios. I try to post the maximum amount of time things that I want to talk about radio and so on. So, you know, there's multiple ways that you can keep contact with me in those places. At Shortwave Radios on Twitter, the Facebook group, which is official SWL channel, and of course through here you can of course comment on videos and so on. It's always nice to have all of you on board. Samuel Peterson, nice to have you here, Samuel. Northern Dawn has 9670, Voice of America for Tibet. Cool. Keegan has WWV on 5000. That's 5 out of 5, fading at times. Let's check that out. If I get it here. It's very, very weak. It's there, but it's very weak. Oh, getting better now. But it's, you know what? 5000 this week has been weaker than usual for the time signal from Colorado. Johnny DXer, Radio Slovakia International on 5850. Let's check that out here. Yeah. Not super strong on the XH data, but that's 5850 for you.
Over the past year. Pope Francis's report in connection with the Marvel process, preservation of conscience, and hate speech laws. These are the main topics of the two-day international meeting.
So that's 5850. Better on 7780 now.
By the Council of European Bishops' Conferences and is being hosted by the Conference of Bishops of Slovakia. Representatives of bishops' conferences from more than 20 European countries have come to Slovakia for the meeting, including the Council's president.
So 7780 is better. Definitely. Once again, this is the XH data D808, and it is actually right now plugged through this cable on my MLA30 Chinese loop antenna. So, kind of cool. Rufus News says, hi, Elizabeth. William Helms, yep, fading is horrible on 11780. Yeah, a lot of very, very fast fading. It's kind of interesting. Glenn Zeckman, nice to have you here. Bobby Burgess says, hello, Elizabeth. Matt, XN80Xer, Glenn Zeckman, Terry Cook, all saying hello, Elizabeth. Nice to have you here. Radio Wave Seeker, any info on new Texans coming out, or if by Christmas? So here goes. The I've in an interesting article in the Shortwave Listening website, and basically what's happening is that it's supposed to the Texan H501 and the Texan PL990 are supposed to come out early next year. And there's sad news coming with that. One of the top guys at Texan mentioned that these are probably going to be the last high-end shortwave radios that they will ever make. They say that they are selling less shortwave radios, and that they are slowly moving away from that market. So these two radios, the H501 and 990, are apparently the last high-end radios they will ever produce. They already have sent out 300 of them to some people in China that had pre-ordered. They said that internationally it's going to take a while before they are available, apparently. Do you hear a pirate on 6950? 6950. I'm not hearing anything here. And let's check out the... just going to check out the HF Underground website here. If anybody reports anything. Yeah, Captain Morgan is on, apparently on 6950 AM mode. But I'm not hearing at all. I'm just going to detune by 1 kilohertz, see if I hear at least a carrier. Nope. Really nothing here, but yep. According to HF Underground, Captain Morgan Shortwave Pirate is on 6950 right now. Or it was at least at 0002 UTC. So there is a Captain Morgan there. So let me try 5000 again, but it was... I'm not getting... It's there. I hear it, but it's not very strong here. It's not on the XH data, at least. It's weaker than what I'm used to having. Usually comes in much better. What else do we have? Frederick says nothing on 6950. William KC9 TVN says good evening, Elizabeth. And that his name, it says Hazy from Cable, Wisconsin. Nice to have you here. Rufus Newt, 5850 is great here. Cool. 5850 is actually broadcast towards the west coast mostly. But 7780 is better here because 7780 is towards the east coast. So that's why it's often better on 7780 here on the east side. But you guys on the west coast should hear 5850 pretty good. Others, Ali Crafter's Kitchen, official SWL Facebook page as the nicest group of radio hobbyists, no trolls trying to pick disagreements, and everyone positive and helpful. It's a super group. And that's what I want, and that's how I want to keep it. To be the best group of people that just are there to enjoy radio and share what they have. You see now, Fastload is actually coming in much stronger. It has the fades at time, but it just peaked. 5000 just peaked with a much nicer signal now. Actually. So, what else do we have? War on 5010. Says William Helms. Fast load 7780 is good as 5000. Johnny DXer says yes, 7780 better. James Powers, nice to have you on board. And 22 inches of snow last couple of days, says KC1 ENJ. ENJ, yeah, you guys in the US had a lot of snow. Here we're it's almost we don't even barely have an inch on the ground now. Keegan has 5010 rapid fading. Radioactive 5010 I believe is WRMI. Let me just check if I can hear it here. Yeah. I do hear it. 5010, and that's WRMI, I believe. Radioactive has some radio teletype 6877. 200 shift, 45 bond. Are you decoding anything? LM Collins says 5450 and 5505 Europe Volmits. Bad all day. Let me try it out here. 5450 is... It's there. It's not very strong, but it's there. And 5505. 5505 is better. So 5450 is Royal Air Force from the UK. 5505 is Shannon Volmit out of Ireland. Simon Templar says hello, Elizabeth. We do have a great gang of people here. Radio Week signal work. Nice to have you on board, my friend Pat K7LNP. Pretty cool. Fort Road Massive, what's the model of your shortwave radio? The one that I'm showing right now is the XH Data D808. It is one of the best portables that exist right now. So XH Data D808. It is very, very nice. It's a full coverage, long wave, medium wave, and shortwave band with single sideband capability. As many bandwidths, which makes it kind of interesting. It has the air band also, so if you like to listen to planes and airports, the air band is part of the radio, and it's a pretty sensitive radio, pretty good radio actually. So that's the one that I recommend right now for people searching for, a portable that does it all but isn't too expensive. Radio Week signal works as people are tuning up on 6950. Gustavo Pinto, nice to have you here, my friend. Max Headstrong, nice to have you on board from Michigan, USA. William Helms says 150-foot Tesla Biffalo coil trying out with 66-footer is good on 5085 and up. Kevin Wood has over the horizon radar on 6950. Professor Newt says that's propagation 7780 is just above the noise and 5850 is clear. Only 300 kilometers apart. Yeah, it's interesting. I've always been fascinated since I started these live shows to see how a few hundred kilometers makes a huge difference in the in how strong a signal can be or not, or even not even hearing something. That is really, really something that amazes me at times. When I started doing the live shows, we all have a certain knowledge of propagation and radio signals. And as time went by, I was thinking that, somebody from Toronto, for example, would probably get roughly the same signals I do with the same strength. It's not that far away. And then I start doing the live shows and we start comparing what we hear, and I look at, like Kevin in Nova Scotia, and we had Ray from time to time, Ray Kelly, that was also there. And we're looking at that and there was someone in New Brunswick at one point. There's, some people in Ontario. And I started noticing that, wow, a few hundred kilometers makes a huge difference on a lot of the signals. And I never thought it would be that huge. I never thought that the difference would be that big. So it's kind of interesting. I'm just going to close the door. There's some noise. I don't want to... It's bothering me. Okay, we're back. So, I never thought that it would actually make such a huge difference. Just a few hundred kilometers in shortwave signals and propagation. William KC9 TVN says 24 inches of snow in his driveway on Monday. Wow, that's a big storm. That's a pretty big storm. Bullfrog 89, nice to have you here. KD2CXU in Albany, New York. Last 3 weeks of classes for the semester. Cool. It's often the worst ones because you gotta and give all those reports and exams and stuff that you got to do. Jim, nice to have you here from Rhode Island. RFDXer, nice to have you here from East Central Pennsylvania. Jack H.H. Fenton, nice to have you here, my friend. Pretty cool to have all of you here. Northern Dawn says, shame about Texan. Hopefully I can get a high-end model. Yeah, apparently those, like I was saying earlier, the Texan PL990 and H501 are the last models. I'll see the prices. I might order one. I don't know yet, but I might have or order one. I've been thinking of purchasing a Sangean HD radio, so that I can, as with the FCC talking about that now will let AM stations in the U.S. Go all digital if they want on the AM band. I was thinking that maybe it could be an interesting experiment to have one of those HD radios. I've been eyeing a Sangean model, so I don't know. I'm gonna check that out. What else do we have? Fun Popcorn says some sporadic E opening up between the Gulf Coast and the Great Lakes. It's been happening on and off and on all day, pretty much. Lane Justice, nice to have you here. And Popcom loves his Super Bowlers. Was on CB for years as a kid in the early 70s. You know what? The thing is, I remember being so mad in the when I was a kid because of that all the skip, because we had these walkie-talkies, and these walkie-talkies meant that I couldn't talk very far, and the problem is with all the skip that was, we were having huge solar cycles, and with all the skip that we had, it was impossible to talk to each other because the skip was actually covering us. And I even remember hearing some, when in the 80s there was still a lot of activity on the CB bands, and I remember hearing a lot of CBers kind of going crazy. I was trying to get contacts together, and because of the skip, like just washing it out basically. Bullfrog89 says, I thought the signal difference was really neat to learn about when I was home about 165 miles, 267 kilometers away from Joel. It was like we were on different planets. Yeah, it's crazy, eh? Really crazy. Really crazy. What else do we have? Randy, Riverside, California. Nice to have you on board, my friend. What else do we have? What else do we have? Nope. Nobody should feel bad to remove idiots from the chat room, I can tell you that. Rodolfo65, nice to have you here from New York City. Dave Todd, Digital AM, I tried to install Dream for decoding DRM and keep getting WP cab.dll missing. Anyone have a suggestion? I remember having that problem at one point, and I downloaded the DLL somewhere. But I don't remember where I downloaded it from. Jack H.H. Fenton says 52.546, some fast CW in Southwest Florida. Wow. 6 meters open in Florida. Kind of cool. Let me try again, 27025. I'm curious. I'll leave it there a little bit. See if there's some skip coming on the Channel 6 CB. Doug Ellis, nice to have you here. Doug from San Diego, California. So, yeah, anybody use logging software? That's a nice question, Rufus Newt. We're talking about software. I never used logging software. Personally, when I took notes for what I was listening to, I would just open, Word and type it in as a text. Or sometimes I remember I used to do a Excel thing. I would actually put the Excel spreadsheet stuff and just log in there and add the stations into the go-to and I would use the search functionalities to see if I'd heard that station before and so on. But does anybody use a logging software? I don't. I use different software. So I use, FLDG for decoding digital modes, which is frankly one of the best out there. And it's nice because FLDG has one of the most nicest things is that it's multi-platform. So FLDG actually works on Windows, on Mac, on Linux, which is really nice because whatever platform you're on, you can have FLDG working, which is really cool. Multi-PSK is not bad. The interface is cluttered, but once you get used to it, and I think that's the thing most of the time. Once you get used to it, and it is nice because it has some professional modes that other software don't have. Although if you want to use the professional modes, they do ask you to purchase the software. MMTTY is nice for just radio teletype, for example, of ham radio. But you can do that with the two other software I just talked about. WSJTX for all those modes like FT8, FT4, and JT65, and so on. What do we have? I use MMSSTV for Windows for decoding slow scan television pictures, but you can also use your Android device. There's a software called Robot 36. Robot 36 is nice for Android. One also that I use on Android as an app that I like, if you want to let me just download schedules. Yes, I love these schedules. So on Android, you have Skywave Schedules, which is nice to have. Skywave Schedules is the app for decoding for all the shortwave schedules and what you've been listening to. If you have a tablet or a phone, you can actually use this app. And so you enter, for example, if I say I'm listening to 5850 right now, I want to know what it is. I just click the search, and it actually tells me it's Radio Slovakia coming in from. So in English, and from 030 to 01, comes from Okeechobee transmitter site in Florida. So there's a lot of stuff you can add as your favorites. You can have the transmitter location. So when you listen to a signal and you search for it and you click, then you click the location, and it actually shows you the location on a map on your tablet or phone also, which is really nice. Skywave Schedules has been updated a lot in the last year, and the latest version is really, really nice. You can actually even listen to some of the stuff by choosing SDRs within the app itself. It uses EIBI space lists, and I think it also uses AOKey to update itself. So Skywave Schedules on Android is really nice for that. What else do we have? Auditors, Other Crafter's Kitchen, Texan 9900 almost looks like a radio that would carry a Grundig name on it. Guessing it will be a great performer. Yeah, we cannot guess though. Arthur, we can't guess on radios because, I mean, how many times did we see beautiful radios and were really, really, deceived by its performance that was so bad? So, Ron Hicks, KM4LDI, nice to have you on board. Got HD, the handy talkie reprogrammed today with Chirp. Cool. Rufus Newt has pen and paper. I used to have my books, and I don't see it right now, but I have these books that I have tons of them. I probably have like 10 or 12 books of all the logs, and I keep them because I want to look. I sometimes pick one up, and it's like, oh, This is my logbook for 1992. And I look at all the stations I was logging back then, and you get nostalgic because you look at that and you're like, wow, so many things I logged back then. Pretty crazy. Radio Week signal work. I use Am Radio Deluxe version, the last version that was free, 5 dot something. And I don't use Ham Radio Deluxe is actually a very, very nice big package. I should maybe look into purchasing the latest version or so. It's a really nice package of so many things. I use Am Radio Deluxe the first time because I wanted to have some software to control my ICOM ICR 8500. And also found that it really, really was really nice, and I used the satellite tracker in it to also adapt for the Doppler shifts of satellites on my ICOM, and it's kind of fun, and it's a really nice piece of software, and I know it has so much to offer, including some logging capability. Brian Penny still uses paper and pencil for logging, but hey, I still read actual books. So, Well, look, I read ebooks on my tablet, but I still, not true. Now, when I log through on my computer, but I'll just open a blank, word processing page and log in there and save the file. Jack H. Fenton says uses Logger 32 for years and now handles all QSO records for the ARRL TQSL system. Interesting. RFDXer uses Excel for logging, then run Perl script to format reports to DX Club. I remember somebody, but I don't know where, had made actually formatted an Excel spreadsheet just made for logging. And I remember you was sharing that template so that we could all use it. It was very nice the way that he had actually designed that template for Excel. Bullfrog 89. Is there a way to add a links page to the Facebook group? Some sort of compiled list to correct and proper program downloads. Oh, that's interesting. I'm gonna check it out. Yeah, that's a good idea. And you know what? It's a good idea also, Bullfrog 89, because one of the biggest problems when you download software is, am I downloading the good thing or am I downloading some imitation crap thing that's gonna mess up my computer? So that's a good idea. I will look into that, Bullfrog 89. Having a proper, that's why I do YouTube videos regularly talking about these software, because I always share in the video the link to the proper download page for the software that we use. Roger's Crafter's Kitchen says still use an ARRL logbook my father gave me, and when he gave me my Crafter's SX42. Wow, since the same logbook since I was 15. Amazing. Northern Dawn uses a couple of phone apps for logging. Mind to share the names? Could be interesting. Could help others. Jack H. Fenton, FLDG all the way, great interface. Found a nice free cell call decoder looking for that. Oh, cool. Radioactive 6877 radio teletype, no discernible decode in FLDG. Yeah, it's possibly, most of the radio teletypes are encrypted today. Joey D, nice to have you on board. Keegan says, my dad, W9JEF, has an ARRL handbook from 1985. Man, it's crazy to look at these older books and older things. Pretty crazy. Northern Dawn uses Shortwave Schedules app too. V3KRP log old school to a daily journal notebook. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Fort World Massive. Check out PRXTX Plus Cool SDR. Okay. Android app. PRXTX Plus. Let me check that out. PRX. Okay, there's RxTX free Pocket RxTX Pro. That's $649. Oh, look at that. I'm going to try it out. Install. I'm going to check that out. I'm going to check that out for sure. Nice to see what people are using also. Prasad Asaldekar says, these days, medium wave reception here is exceptionally good in the early mornings and evenings. Can get stations over 1,000 kilometers away. Perhaps due to the improved weather conditions after the rainy season. It's mostly, what mostly, because the weather itself, when we talk of long wave, medium wave, and short wave frequencies on these low frequency ranges, very often, okay, yeah, you got WebSDR 214. Sorry, guys. Okay, and it looks for WebSDR servers and stuff. Wow. Okay, that looks interesting. I'm gonna check it out and maybe even have a review of it, talking about it in the next few days. So weather has very little effect on frequencies probably below 50 megahertz. Yes, it might have an effect on VHF, higher VHF and UHF ranges. Yes, because there's all sorts of weather phenomena that creates all sorts of weird propagation stuff. But when we talk about medium wave, short wave reception, usually weather has very little to do with it. What will mostly affect is, first of all, so you're talking about medium wave, which is very low frequencies, and we are in the low part of solar cycle, so that could be one of the reasons why medium wave reception is really good. And there's mostly there's a seasonal thing to it, more than anything else also. Like here in North America, the winter is often the best for long wave, medium wave reception. But low solar activity probably has something to do with it also. RFDXer, what is the drink of choice today? Right now, it's a beer of the damned, Maudit. Then I only have 2 beers for tonight, so I got the next one is La Résolution, the pumpkin spice tasty 10% beer. William Helms, sunspot cycle ever comes up, all you would need for an antenna would be wire from a switch plate screw to magnets of 2 speakers in series. You really play a lot with all of these unusual ways to make antennas, William. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, solar cycle. We're at the deep cycle right now, really at the most bottom that you can be on the sun this year. Hopefully, starting by the end of next year, maybe we'll start seeing an uptick in solar activity. D-Ruff, nice to have you on board, my friend. Better late than never. Absolutely. William KC9TVN uses QRZ logging program. Okay. QRZ logging program. On a PC, on an or on an app. Bro Weaver, nice to have you here. 6:56 p.m. Central. Have you ever sent a shortwave QSL to a amateur radio operator? Yes, many times. I actually have lots of. I probably have a few dozen AM QSL cards in my book, in my QSL book here. Absolutely, I've done that many times. Dave Todd says, don't really log, just store in SDR Uno memories with comments. Well, it's a kind of a log. So it's really, really nice. Keegan says, his dad, W9JF, uses notebook and pen for loggings. Yeah, but I don't like to go that way, Bro Weaver. I like to do the fair and correct way of things. Radioactive says, did you have a chance to look into the shortwave schedules files I sent you last week? I kept your email. I didn't have time to look at it much. I promise, check it out and come back to you with that at the latest on Friday on the live show. So many things that I'm doing at the same time that I'm going a little crazy right now. It's really... Yeah, FLDG is downloaded on a website that is, it's an amateur radio call sign where you get it. I will try to, it's a good idea. Like I often say, we forget sometimes, when we have a certain experience in things, you forget that it's not, you forget that it's, not everybody that is at the same level. And it's easy to forget that not everybody. Whoops, there's something wrong here. I'm checking something. There's a buffering happening. Just check it out here. I don't know if you guys have buffering that came red everywhere here. Did you guys have some buffering in my stream? Because line came red. So anyways, it's easy to forget that, not everybody has the same level. And it's nice sometimes to have somebody come back at you and say, hey, I don't get it. You have to back down a little bit and go more basic. Jack H.H. Fenton says, leave radio on USB and watch it decode RTTY 75. Good luck figuring it out. William, KC9TVN, Ham Radio Deluxe does it all. Cat control, logging, digital modes. So, that's what I always say. I have no problem paying for software. Where I have a problem paying for software is when they ask a high price for it. And that's where I am a little more, I'd say, less inclined to purchase when you start. For me, any piece of software that is above $100 is personally, I think, too expensive. But then, you look at Am Radio Deluxe, all that it does is pretty crazy. And, compare the price to all that it does isn't that bad, actually. So I'm still using an old version 5.24, something like that. That is the last free version he had. It seems I lost my internet connection for a brief moment. Now I just noticed here in my the way it is. Save the big beer for last. Terry Cook, lightning crashes on lower frequencies. RFDXer says La Résolution is good stuff. Ja, nice to have you here from Illinois. Simplio, nice to have you on board from my friend. And says just finished watching the NASA APL release of Solar Parker Probe. Newest 5 findings of the solar wind. Yeah, they must be finding tons of stuff with that solar probe there, for sure. Yeah, that's what I use all the time. QRZ.com and QRZCQ.com are the two that I check all the time. RFDXer as a ham, I've received QSLs from Shortwave listeners. Usually this happens when operating on worked all states and DX nets, like the 3905 Century Club net on 40 meters. So, but I do have some QSLs from, and I have sent QSLs to hams in the past. For the most part, most of them are pleasantly happy and surprised. But when you were on QRZ.com a while back, you actually had the possibility of seeing an email of every ham that was registered there. I remember writing to some of these hams and telling them, well, I received your signal the other day, and especially in the contests when they were like, in like CQ Worldwide and so on. And most of them were very, very happy to see that a Shortwave listener was there. I don't know what's happening because I see the view count has dropped by 50 in one batch. It went from 116 to 74 or something. Like 40, at least 40 in one batch. So there must be something happening with YouTube tonight. I'm just going to check here. Everything is green now here. So technically I shouldn't have any problems. But so a few seconds buffer. Signal is clear 1080p. Just a few second buffering. So Keegan said I had buffering and it said the stream was offline. I clicked on live on the YouTube player and back to normal. So I guess it's going back up. Something weird's happening. Has anyone used a discount for shortwave listening? Yes, some people have. Some people have used regular discounts that are mostly for VHF, UHF. Probably not the best performance for an antenna for shortwave because it's not meant for that. But, like any antenna, of course, it does work. But to have a really good shortwave antenna with a discount, you would have to have a really big one. Absolutely. VE3KRP says used to get many shortwave listener QSL requests from Russia back when they needed to listen first before obtaining their ham ticket. Kind of interesting. Max, that's wrong. Never thought about it. Now I want to try it. So, yeah, things seem to be back to normal as it's up to 90 now. There's something happening. William Helm says if shortwave was around in the pioneer days, you run it with what's in your junk pile, as many of the famous inventors did with discoveries they felt was well to develop. It just brings me back to the fantastic solar cycles of the 80s when I started listening. And yeah, true. I mean, first of all, there was a lot more stations on the air, but I mean, I could DX the world with 20 feet of wire. And I remember, I don't think I had more than 25 feet of wire when I logged Radio Australia the first time ever in 1982. And I mean, it was coming in quite well too. And on that old, realistic DX100 back there. Crazy. Really crazy. Chuck Yunkin, 73. Take care, my friend. And WF7I Homebrews calling CQ on FT8 on 80 meters. Unfortunately, my just give me a second, guy. I'll see if my Insider machine has finally finished its update job. And yes, it has. So that means I'll be able to start the SDR software. And that means I will be actually tuning in and seeing if I can hear you guys using the PC. Welcome to your new version of Windows. Thank you very much. So here we go. There's the weirdest picture of, anyways, I won't say it. SDR Uno. And we're going to try to okay, sound settings, volume is muted. I note that I have to reactivate something when I can manage sound devices. Stereo mix enabled. Here we go. We are going to make sure date and time are correct. And I will go on 80 meters FT8 and see if I can hear. Synchronizer clock. And it says that my clock was synchronized. Let's play. There we go. I will go on 38. There we go. We're going to start WSJTX here. And one last little change that I need to do is plug back my MLA30, because that's the one I want to use, on so just a minute, guys. I'm just going to plug back the MLA30 for and I'll remove it from this radio here and plug it back into the SDR or the antenna switch. And we are back to a working SDR. And we're good to go. So I'll put that wireless keyboard here. And we will start WSJTX. Mode FT8. That's okay. And park ourselves on 3573 kilohertz with a USB and wide. And here we go. I'll be watching the screen now, see if we can get any FT8. 3573. Lots of stuff. There we go. So we'll see if we see anybody. So if anybody can do FT8 on 80 meters, why not try it out? We'll see what we can get. I'll check out the FT. So I've already started having some decodes here. There's a CQ from a VE3YXO. And CQ from a WA1OTZ. So I'll be checking that out if anybody's there. What else do we have? Fort Road Massive. I was checking out SDR Touch app last night. You can plug your SDR into Android phone with OTG cable. Pretty cool. Yes, absolutely. I've done it many times on my phone to decode. It's to listen to the VHF UHF range with an RTL SDR. It is pretty cool when you think about it. It makes it very portable. Simplio says the SolarWind has a switchback effect like a whip, magnetic reversal, 180 degrees flow of motion. Particles are never uniform and never in one direction. It's so complex. So let's go down. Nathan Petrovsky, nice to have you here, my friend. I go down. Says, what I don't like with software is paying to update if you've purchased it already. Yeah, that's one thing that for example, I don't mind paying, I could pay $100 for a software. But if you tell me that the next, I get the next version free because I already paid for it, yeah, that's nice. But when they ask you to pay for every version, it is kind of a little annoying. Ron Hicks, nice to have you on board. If I really want to get back into shortwave listening, I want to go ahead and get my general license and save the money up and get commercial ham transceiver. Yeah, of course. Get yourself a transceiver and be a ham. Josh says, I was thinking of using a discount for listening for shortwave and for 2-meter ham. I'm using a long wire right now and it's working great. Long wire will be better on shortwave for sure than the discount. So that's one thing. You'll notice that a discount it doesn't perform like your long wire does. That's for sure. So yeah, it will work. Like I said, it will work for shortwave reception. But you're not going to get what is the best reception with a discount on, especially a discount made for VHF, UHF. And you will notice that your long wire is actually better. Yeah, well, actually, as Bullfrog89 says, there's absolutely nothing commercial about a ham transceiver. There's nothing commercial about ham radio operating. William, KC9TVN says Simon Brown, HD9DRV, sold the rights to his popular Ham Radio Deluxe. It used to be free. Yep. I have the last version, the free version that I'm still using, 5.24. Oh, I'll check that out, Prasad. Check that out here. Yes, we have Prasad sending a little image, a little picture of his workplace. That's nice. That's nice. Here we are. Here's what it looks like. Kind of cool. Kind of cool. Thanks for sharing. Always nice to have a little more about everybody and what everybody does, and it's always nice, having more than just just the surface. Often you have just a name, and it's fun to see faces. It's fun to see what what people are doing in their lives, and it's just knowing a little more about everybody is just cool. What Road Massive putting up discount tomorrow, and it says you can transmit, but yeah, some discounts do have the possibility of. I had one from Radio Shack, and I remember it said that I could use it for 2-meter and 70 centimeter transmit, if of course I had my ham license. Ron Hicks, first QSL card in 75 from Radio South Africa. Yeah, Radio RSA. WF7I says just work AC2SB. Closer towards your QTH. Hey, Rifleman. Nice to have you here. N8UCN. Max Headstrong. I always wanted to be a professional shortwave listener. No one would pay. Yeah, but somebody did have that job. You know, when the BBC monitoring station existed. And I remember seeing a picture in a magazine of that guy at the listening station with all these cool, really high-end radios, and that was his job. I was jealous. I was like, wow, that guy has the coolest job in the world. Fast load is decoding FT8 on 40 meters. Radioactive 6090 Radio Bandeiras in Portuguese. Faint but listenable. Oh, really? Wow. What else do we have? Yeah, something's wrong with your I saw your post in the shortwave group, Fastload, because you really shouldn't have any RF back in the shack. There must be some leak or somewhere where it all comes back. It's not supposed to be like that. As Bullfrog89 says, 105 plus watching, only 35 thumbs up. We can do better. So Ron Hicks has his tech license and has a handy talkie. Cool. Simplio says uses the RTL SDR and installed it with the OTG and RF analyzer. Not full time though, because it asks a lot of tablet CPU. Yeah. Buzzsaw161, I used to have an Afedri SDR, which now Fastload has, which I did enjoy, but I find the RSP-1A that I have here better. La Résolution, guys. Beer number 2. Pretty good. Pretty good. Simplio says has a Walmart ONN 7-inch tablet. It's pure Android 9 Pi. Generic gamepad wired USB even worked. Wow. Rifleman says, I know you do shortwave, of course. Do you have a scanner? If so, what kind? I've got several scanners. I've got Realistic Pro 43. I've got a Radio Shack Pro 92 trunk scanner that purchased many years ago. I do have the ICOM ICRD 500, which is a wideband receiver. You guys don't see it much here, I guess, but there's an antenna here, and that radio here attached to it is a ICOM ICR20. Maybe I should check it out. There we go. Which I haven't used much lately, but nice little portable. Here we go. So nice little portable. This is not technically a scanner. It's more of a communications receiver, which is different than what a scanner is, although it does scan and do what scanner radio does. But it's a wideband receiver up to 3 gigahertz. I have also my good old trusty Realistic Pro 2006 scanner from the good old days when you could still listen to the analog cell phones. VE3 VTG, nice to have you here near Toronto. DJK Solo, nice to have you here. Pretty cool to have everybody here. Nathan Petovsky is getting Google Pixel 4 for Christmas. Can't wait now. I just need to convince my parents to let me get a Walbrook loop. Well, you know, if your parents can get yourself a Wellbrook loop, that MLA30 Chinese loop is as good, or almost as good, from what I've seen. So Radioactive. Speaking of getting paid for monitoring, there is this one U.S. company, the NSA. yeah, okay. Yeah, there is some form of monitoring there for sure. I can kind of say that I'm paid to do some shortwave monitoring since I started doing all of this YouTube stuff. And I listen, my radio's turned on all day. And I mean, I listen all day, and part of it is for, the purpose of doing all of this, which of course is monetized. So, it's kind of interesting. Buzzsaw 61, 161. There's RSP1A, RSP-DX that is brand new, that seems to be pretty good, and better performance below 2 megahertz. Ruffleman says, drinking some herbal mint tea. Perfect. Keegan had Tazo tea. RFDX or Vive la Résolution, beer of the champions. Simply so now I want a Windows tablet so I can run Unitrunker and DSD Plus Fastlane Mobile. I need to try that. I need to really get into that. I'm sure I can make tons of videos on that other channel that I've kind of abandoned a little bit, the VHF UHF channel. Well, nice to have you here, Ja. RFDX here, fresh squeezed orange juice. Yeah. From Wegmans on tap. Yeah, MLA30 is amazing. Amazing. No problem, Rifleman 336. What signals I receive on those scanners? Of course, there's amateur radio bands like the 2-meter band, 70 centimeters, and so on. Here we are. We have the Quebec law enforcement, Sûreté du Québec, that's still analog for the most part, and there's still quite a few analog things here and there, and security guards and stuff like that. For example, when I want to have some fun, there's a shopping mall not very far from here. And I actually turn on my radio and leave it on the shopping mall security frequency. And you hear all the stuff happening, thieves that steal stuff and so on. So there's quite a lot. One of the biggest uses for my ICOM ICRD 500 is really tuning in the satellites. If you've seen my VHF UHF channel, you'll see that I received a lot of communications from different amateur radio satellites, and have a lot of fun with that. Actually, I was thinking this week, it's been a while since I've done it, I was thinking this week of using my ICOM again on the satellite, the amateur satellite stuff. So kind of cool. Old Frog 89 is having a Lennenkugel grapefruit shandy, German-style beer with a hint of citrus. Not my typical drink, but if anyone has a chance, I recommend it. There is one that I tasted in at a bar this summer. I went with some friends at a bar on Saint Laurent Street that had an amazing amount of beers, and I tasted one that was made here in Quebec and was kind of sour and fruity a little bit, and I gotta say I was pleasantly surprised. Grayman 423, what would be a good tabletop shortwave radio around 250? You won't get much you won't get much tabletop receiver at that price range, but you will get some great portable receivers. So you could have, there's several models that you can get at $250. You can get yourself a Texan PL 880 or save money and get an XH Data D808. That's pretty good too. It's portable, but you might, if you don't mind using a computer, at $250 you will get a great software-defined receiver, like the you could get yourself an RSP DX, which is $199, which is an amazing device. But that also means you need to use a computer when you use your radio, because they are software controlled by the computer. But Buzz161, why do you think the RSP is better than the Ephedry? Well, it was the Ephedry is a little noisier than the RSP. First of all, I've used both, so I know what I'm talking about. And the Ephedry was noisier than the RSP. The Ephedry seemed to be a little less sensitive than what I see with the RSP. Then again, it can all be part of the fact that, it's less noisy, but it's the RSP, from what I've seen, and also I've seen a lot of people use both together, side by side, and really have much more and much better listening experience on the RSP one. Wolfrog 89, DSD Plus is neat software. I'm able to decode the hospital's paging system, not even encrypted. Rufus Newt, thanks y'all. I keep my scanner on 24/7, but get very little, not like when I lived in town. Yeah, in a big city you hear more stuff, that's for sure. That's for sure. WF7I is getting VE3 HLM. Canada, Ontario, strong signal. I think I saw that station pass by. I'm looking here, there's really a lot of activity on the 80 meter FT8, I can tell you that. Ruffleman says local craft beers can be fun, just trying all the different kinds if you're in adventures. Yeah, the only thing I don't like is IPAs, but if I remove IPAs from the list, there's so many things and so many cool things that you can actually check out and listen to. I'm listening right now. Yeah, check out and taste. There's a lot of good beers out there. This one, the Résolution, is a surprise find. Simply listening to 75 meter lower sideband, 3916 on his Radio Shack 2629. Radioactive 6180, China Radio International English Week, readable in Oregon. I think 6180 is from the Cuban transmitter side. It's from Cuba. Radioactives. Yes, I listen to beers all the time. Well, Frog 89 says big cities are great for VHF, UHF, not so much for HF. Yeah, we can pretty much say that. There's less noise in rural areas. Oh, of course, there's less noise on the countryside of things. That's for sure. Our FDX or beverage antennas are the best. Beer required. Just going to do a little self-promotion here, guys, for a second. If you like what I do, why not think about it? You can give me a little something to help me out. PayPal.me/shortwave, or become a patron at patreon.com/radio and computers. And what does that money go to? It goes to depending on what I sometimes have people say, hey, I'm gonna give you $20 for Paul the Cat or whatever, and so that means you can actually say, hey, I'm sending you a few bucks and this is where I want it to go. And of course I always follow the instructions, but there's equipment to buy, there's lighting systems that go bad, There's brand new computers, like I just purchased this summer. $1,800 for a computer is a lot of money. And, your donations help maintain all of this and the expensive internet that I use. And, think about it. If you enjoy what I do, if you enjoy whoops, I'm just going to... There we go. Sorry, guys. Just wanted to put also the Yahoo email for the PayPal donation stuff. And, it helps me so I can, I purchase equipment. I purchase, loop antennas, and I purchase radios and stuff. And, of course, it makes me, it gives me the possibility to talk about it and review them. And you know what? Maybe you saved tons of money. You were thinking of buying a Wellbrook or a W6 LVP loop. Ended up with the MLA30 that was much cheaper. Well, why not redirect some of that saving towards me, So, of course, it's nice to have donations. It's nice to have all of you here. And, of course, if you can't spare because you don't have enough money for anything like that, it's perfect. We're not all equal. And I want to thank everybody that donates. And I want to thank everybody for being great fans of my show. Josh says, I'm with you. IPA, yuck. Yeah, I can't. IPAs... I just can't. It's too rough. I don't know. Some people love that, but man. Buzzgold, what are you doing keeping up with the comments? Yeah, I'm usually half an hour behind in the chat. For sure. Fat Tire, Two Brothers, Chicago, has great non-gluten. I need to go to the liquor store and check out for sure. Bullfrog 89, I want to donate, and my money go to the Ernie Tubb Radio Fin. Absolutely no problem. I was looking at it the other day. There's a guy selling one on eBay. If you guys want me to get Ernie in the Bathtub Radio, you know what? Just say it's for that, and I will actually purchase Ernie in the Bathtub Radio. I didn't get it because it's used. Even though he says it's in good working order and it's clean, but it's in its original box. And the guy was selling it for it would be almost $50 Canadian. Which is a little expensive for just, a little AM radio. But at the same time, if you guys want me to get Ernie in the Bathtub Radio, well, just do a little donation and I'm going to get it. And you guys are going to see it in action here. For those that don't know the story is that Ernie in the Bathtub Radio is my first ever radio I've ever had. My sister had purchased that little AM radio. So anybody that knows Sesame Street. There's Bert and Ernie that lived together. Well, it was a little Ernie in the Bathtub Radio, an AM radio that I still remember, used a lot. It was a long time ago. That was my first real radio that I had for me alone. Ernie in the Bathtub. Crazy. I saw VA3TX on 80 meters WS7i. I did see VA3TX. I saw him go by quite a few times, actually. So, Tina Smith says, my boyfriend has 8 scanners running. Don't hear much longer, has 2 antennas up on the roof. All radio is now encrypted. Yeah, but you gotta scan everywhere. The Texas Wet Shaver. I like the name. Thanks for the nice comments. Cool. Bus161, right now I'm using a MLA30 magnetic loop antennas. So WF7i just sent a picture. Yes. And here we go. He's got a nice map, and this is a picture of his FT8 contacts that he's making in a clean table shack. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. It'll be a lot of fun to have all of that. Well, okay, guys. It seems that I have to purchase that Ernie in the Bathtub radio now. I got a donation that is squarely and directly mentioning Ernie in the Bathtub Radio Fund. And he actually wants me to get it. So I guess I'll have Ernie in the Bathtub Radio soon. Oh, man. Josh says, speaking of beer, the other night I heard two hams talking, and the one said when he was a kid he made his first shortwave antenna from old steel beer cans. Everything's possible. Everything's possible. William Helms, a Paraguayan home I was invited to for dinner. Thistle wine was served with roast beef, potatoes, and vegetables. I wish I could remember the brand though. Wow. Fastlow did a reverse beacon with CW on 40 once. Got a report from British Columbia. Cool. Mahmoud Sulaiman, nice to have you here from Bangladesh. Cool to have you on board, my friend. I think Bangladesh, I think it's the first time we get somebody from Bangladesh. Cool. Really nice to have you here. Texas Wet Shaver, K5MOW. Nice to have you here. Jason Wallace, nice to have you here. Higher bands in the South Pacific been going good this week with the CB band. 10 meters and 6 meters, ham bands. And 144 megahertz open between New Zealand and Australia. That happens often between two countries that have a lot of water, a big body of water, like, you know, Pacific Ocean, of course. I see this often from like the UK to France, where the fact that, you know, the ocean water and the atmosphere have different temperatures. There's a lot of temperature inversions that happens. And 2 meter, like 144 megahertz, 2 meters, often propagates very, very long distances. Northern Dawn, one of my first radios was a Sashio Walkman radio cassette. Wow. Yeah, that was funny when Fastlet said hello on the FT8. It was just funny. So K5MOW. Nice to have you here. LA Entertainment. Nice to have you on board. William Helms, my first radio was a Blue Tube type 1958 Westinghouse 414 that my dad traded something for at work. How about you guys sharing with everybody? What's the first ever radio you ever had in your life? What's the first receiver you've used? Any kind. It doesn't have to be shortwave. The first radio that you remember was your radio. It could be just an AM radio, an AM FM radio. It could be a, it doesn't have to have shortwave on it. The first radio that was yours that you actually. So, thanks for the donations, guys. Thanks, Steve. RFTXer says those MLA30 loop antennas are the bomb, by the way. Much less in price than other loops. Oh, absolutely. They're amazing. Take care, Terry Cook. WF7i Homebrew. FT8 is great when you don't have a lot of power, and I can reach much more DX than other modes. I gotta say, it's an amazing mode. And you know, I'll share the good and the bad side of it because we often hear about it. I mean, the good side, it's DX. I mean, the DX capabilities is just so amazing. You even don't hear something I remember sometimes I'm on a frequency. The other day I think it was 15 meters. I couldn't hear a thing. I was just static. I didn't even see something in the waterfall. And man, the it was decoding stuff. It was just crazy. Just crazy. Just crazy. LA Entertainment from South Wales. Nice to have you here. Psycho Food. Nice to have you here, my friend, from the Oregon coast. Nice to have you here, John, KJ7ISU. Tristan P. Nice to have you here, Tristan from Newfoundland. A little late to the party, but it's okay. So what's the first radio you guys ever had? Psycho Food, an old Philco with the letter case. Simplio, my first was a Sears GE FM AM with turntable in 1985. Wow. RFDXer was a realistic DX160. Max S. Strong says first radio is Zenith Royal 700. Wow. Arthur's Alley Crafter's Kitchen. My first radio ever was a World War II era Ecophone commercial. Wow. AM only, says Max S. Strong for the Zenith. Mark, nice to have you here. R1155 is first radio. Dave O'Toole, first I owned was Uniden Burkett UBC 3000 XLT. Cool. Homebrew, WS7i Homebrew, probably the DX100 on my first radio. Around that time, there was also a Sony Walkman and a Como boombox. The DX100 behind me was my first real shortwave radio that I owned. Texas Wet Shaver. Don't remember the model, but it was a 1960s tube radio. AM shortwave. Rufus Newt. My first radio I will share closer to Christmas. GPX Jambox Christmas. Wow. Bobby Burgess, my first actual radio was a Philips stereo with AM/FM, 3-disc CD changer, and a 2-deck tape player. On Popcom, Sinclair gas station AM transistor radio that looked like a red gas pump. My dad got it as a promo in 1968. Wow. Samuel Peterson. Mine was a sound design AM/FM pocket radio in 75. Tina Smith. My boyfriend says it was the $6 million man you hook to ground to get it to work. Wow. Denis Allard. Nice to have you on board. First time on Wednesday. If your PC is done updating, check out the Westford SDR and tune to 730. CKAC is booming in Iceland. Wow, really? Man. Pretty crazy. Lots of transatlantic stuff happening. Fort Road Massive, Bindlin 8000. Had to Google. That was my first DX radio. Oh, man. DRAF, my first was a Delmonico AM transistor, then a Remco, Caravelle, and Philco tube table radio. Wow. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Anything else here? Just looking the email, see if anybody is... Joss says, when I was in college, bought my first shortwave because heard Art Bell and never wanted to miss his show. Little Sony Shortwave. Wow. Of the dawn. Let's have you here. Forgot I was on. How dare you? No, totally understand. Tristan, I don't remember my first radio, but what I do remember is listening to AM bands at night. I was blown away with all the faraway stations I could pick up. Fun stuff. You know what? I realized that the AM band propagated far at night for the first time ever. And I mean, really the first time ever. Was with a realistic boombox that I owned. And it's a boombox that I had purchased, I don't know, around 1984, 5 with my... I remember I purchased that with, like, you know, I had like something like $150 given by my uncles and aunts at Christmas, and I had like about $150, and I loved music a lot, and I wanted to have a cassette boombox, and I had gone to Radio Shack and purchased. They had one that was usually $150, was on sale for $99. So I had purchased that boombox for $99, which I used way past. I mean, I probably used that for 10 years. 10 years. I mean, it was all beaten, battered, and some of the buttons were broken, and I mean, but it still worked, and it still was amazingly good. And that was my boombox. But I used to listen a lot to music on FM band, and also on the AM band. In the 80s, we were still listening, believe it or not, to music on AM radio. And it's the first time that I had ever noticed that at night I could hear stations from far away. And I actually remember my mom liked the big band era music from the good old days, you know, like from the 40s and so on. It reminded her when she was young. And I remember hot summer nights in the on the balcony outside, you know, when it's really hot and you can't sleep because it's like we didn't have any air conditioning. And I remember I would go out on the balcony, and my mom would say, "Oh, you can you put on that?" Because once I had her listen to 1130 New York, which today is Bloomberg News, but back then it was a big band type music radio station. And I actually had, I remember I went outside and she said, "Oh, can you get that station from the other day with big band music? Do you think it's playing now, or you know?" And I remember tuning and getting it. 1130 was always very strong here. And I remember, that's one of those, when we have like these fun memories of a moment in time with your parents. Well, that's one fun memory of a moment with my mom, because it was cool because she liked the music, and I was totally amazed that I'm getting a station from New York on the radio. So we were both happy, and and big band music from the 40s is great actually, and it was really the first time that period of time was the first time I had noticed that actually AM radio was going far away at night. What else do we have? D-Raf, my first shortwave was a small Sylvania AM transistor with shortwave band. I heard the BBC and was hooked. William KC9TVN says, first radio, Crystal radio, a Novus ham made for me in 1955. 50 feet of wire and a set of old headphones, and I was in business. Wish I could go back. Yeah. There are things that we'd like to go back, I miss the good old days of the 80s with all the shortwave stations. You know, I realized how I missed a lot back then, not realizing what I was listening to. You know, I started listening in the time of the Cold War, and of course that was very interesting times on shortwave. But I did not fully realize it. I was a teenager, and there was that, and there were so many other things happening, and you're growing up. Today, I look at that and I'm like, oh man, that period of time, I there's so much more I could have realized as what was happening with the Cold War and with shortwave radio. I wish, you know, that if there's one wish of going back, it would be to go back to that and fully realize what was happening radio-wise, you know? Crazy. RFDXer, does anyone know what kind of conformal coating is inside the MLA30's amplifier box and how to remove it without damaging components? I would like to convert to SO239 instead of SMA. I don't know what coating they have. There's some kind of coating. Ham Extra, nice to have you on board. Probably Sony Walkman for me. Those headphones with the metal band you could slice your neck with. Oh man. Bullfrog 89, my first shortwave radio is a Reader's Digest. A Reader's Digest, RDA 127. Belonged to my uncle. He was a ham and was a radio operator for the Navy. Unfortunately, he passed before he got into radio. Prasad says, my first radio was a Philips tube radio with which my father had bought. It had medium wave and several shortwave bands. I did a lot of experiments on it as a school-going boy. Prasad says, but my first personal radio was a Japanese standard medium wave shortwave transistor. A nice story about it, which I will post on the Facebook page. Cool. Please do share. Indie Packrat, nice to have you here, my friend. Newbie to the hobby and the stream. Been watching a lot of the older videos. Cool. Any questions? Do ask. RFDXer, drink number 2 here. Deer Park bottled natural spring water. Cool. Imad Abbas, my first radio was a Philips AE 240200 from 1987. Keegan says, my first radio, Radio Shack 12795 multi-band receiver. Christmas 2000, I think. Wow. Bobby Burgess, not shortwave related, but have you been on the FM dial at night and really listened to night bounce FM stations? Well, FM radio doesn't have much difference between day and night, except the fact that there could be temperature inversions and stuff like that. There could also be some e-skip that sometimes will actually go to the band. But I haven't DX'd the FM band in a long time, and here in Montreal it's very difficult because all frequencies are pretty much taken by local stations. So it's extremely hard to DX anything here. Brian Penny, yes, WNEW. Absolutely, that was the call sign I remember. 1130. Says his mom loved the station also. WNEW with big band music. Oh man. So WF7I send us. Yeah, they looked like that back then. I mean, that was what they looked like. The boombox, the old boombox from the times. Look at that. Look at that. And I mean, that's the only reason, honestly. It's the only reason why I actually had purchased the QFX here. Because that QFX has this real cool look of an 80s boombox. And it was so cheap that I thought, you know, for $40 I can't go wrong. I mean, even if it's a crappy radio. it has its quirks. It is not stereo. There's some weird things in it, but I'm happy to actually own this one. Honestly, it still works. Shortwave is really bad. It's really not a good radio for shortwave listening or anything. AM/FM's okay, but I mean, it mostly was nostalgic when I purchased this boombox, much more than anything else. Oh man. Keegan says my second radio, my first with digital display, digital tuning, and BFO, Radio Shack DX402. Wow. Well, here too, Fort Road Massive. Here in Quebec, I know that at least here in Montreal, in French, we would say, hey, you have your ghetto blaster. So that was the term here too. Ghetto blaster was the term. A lot of the term was boombox, but we call them ghetto blasters here too, in Montreal at least. Keegan says the X402 got in 2002, 2003. Yep, Jim, as we were saying, WNEW 1130. Oh man. On Popcom, show of hands if you got emotional thinking about your first radio. Yeah, I guess, I mean, there's so much. Ray Bokar says, I used to listen to a portable under the pillow, Radio Luxembourg, then the Ham Hour on Radio 4 in the UK. Wow. Nice to have you here, Ray. Christian Ferland, nice to have you here. First shortwave radio back in the 80s with a realistic DX400. Shelly Sykes, I remember some radio call-in shows called the Nightcaps. I was young and fell asleep listening to it on a pocket transistor my brother handed down to me. Wow. Yes, absolutely. You can use a jaw. You can use a long wire and a transceiver, as long as it's either tuned, or if your transceiver has auto tune to help it tune. Because the problem with transmitting, in reception, the mismatch of an antenna, makes you lose a little bit of S units, but it still works. But on a transmit, that's where it's a little more tricky, because on transmit, you got to be careful not to blow the output of the radio. So having it tuned is the best, really the good thing. But I know a lot of hams that I've seen over the years use, wire antennas, long wire antennas, and use them as transmission antennas. As long as they're tuned, using a tuner, or if your ham transceiver has auto tune on it, for example. Artist out of Crafter's Kitchen. Cold War on shortwave taught me so much about propaganda and civics. I only realized years later that the Voice of America jazz show by Willis Conover was actually subtle propaganda. There was a lot of that going on back then. I mean, it's just crazy when you think about it. Crazy. For Fort Worth Massive, a Lasonic TRC 93. Wow. Northern Don misses his old Sony AM/FM pocket he had in school. Rob, my first AM/FM radio and cassette player was the yellow Sony WM-F5 Sports Walkman in '83. Cost me over $100. Wow. William Helms, green 1956 Westinghouse H742T4. Wow. Jim says my first radio was an Allied 2652 AM/FM shortwave. Yeah, Rob, we throw out or give away. I gave away my realistic boombox to a guy that I was working with in 1994-ish. I was working with a guy that just couldn't he had no money, and the job, the position of that job was minimum wage, and he barely could pay his rent and the food. And he came over one day for something. We had beer or something, and I remember he looked at it and said, he looked at it and said, "Oh man, I'd like to have a boombox like that." And it was run down, all battered, and but it still worked. And I said, "Well, I'm not using it anymore. You want it?" And I gave him the radio because, I wasn't using it anymore. I had my 100-watt stereo. It was like I didn't need to have a little boombox anymore. I had something much better for all of my cassettes and stuff. But still, I don't regret giving it to him because he didn't have any money, and he was so happy. I don't know how many times at work he told me, "Oh man, I'm so happy I'm listening to the radio on that thing, and I'm playing my cassettes," and So there's a good side to it. It's like, yeah, it's a good deed, So for that, it makes me happy. I wish I, still had it because it was that first boombox or ghetto blaster that I had, But it's a cool thing. I'm happy because I made somebody happy, anyways. WF7I Homebrew just worked K3LXM. Cool. Psycho Fu says they were ghetto blasters in Oregon in the 80s. I think they were ghetto blasters pretty much everywhere. WF7I we said ghetto blaster in Arizona. Metalmon88. New to your channel. Why Shortwave? No license. Because I never had that urge to actually talk. Shortwave is a great hobby. And listening is was for a long time enough. I will work on getting my license for sure. But, I just never really felt the urge. WF7I, it's alright. You can spam with your logs. Alright, 61. First heard Shortwave on my grandparents' RCA K80 floor model. Wow. Pretty cool. Keegan has 5085 WTWW. 5085. Let's check it out here. Let's check out 5085. They were playing Christmas music last night. I'll just check it out. 5085. Let me just get into a smaller. Yeah, I think this isn't this ham that Hammer amateur radio show. They're talking about radios anyways. 5085. WTWW. Not bad of a signal. Not the best, but not bad of a signal on. I have a lot of noise tonight. It's crazy. A lot more noise than usual. Really, really crazy. WF7I, I believe you can do well with a 9-1 balun to transmit from a long wire too. Similar to your sloper, I think. Yeah, my sloper is actually is capable of up to 100 watts. It's rated to be capable of handling up to 100 watts. Like my sloper with a 9-1 balun. It has a 9-1 balun in it. And it is capable of 100 watts. What else do we have? Anybody else that I've missed or anything I missed? Please say hello again if I did. Hey, Jeff King. Nice to have you here. Tristan, has anybody heard the news from the Texan PL990? Got to say I'm getting a little curious about the radio. Yeah, today there are some news on shortwavelistening.com, and they are talking about the PL990 and the H501. Early next year, they already have 300 that they have sent out to pre-orders, mostly in the Chinese mainland. And they said that for the international customers, it might take a while before it's available everywhere. And they also gave the kind of the sad news that these are probably going to be the last high-end Texan receivers that they're going to make. Yeah, William, KC9 TVN, lots of, YouTube is cool for that. There's so many videos and things about all of this. So, yeah, Bullfrog 89, there's a lot of, we have a lot of people here that are a different age, honestly. I'm not a boomer, I'm an X. I'm an Xer. I'm a Generation Xer. V3KRP. Take care, my friends. Psycho Fu recently got his license. Cool. Well, tonight maybe Bullfrog, but less. It's been rather quiet on the trolls in the past months. But there's more tonight, of course. There has to be idiots, you know. Amnation, that's it, Buzz Gold. I think it's Amnation on WTWW. Psycho Fu has an ICOM IC5100 for VHF UHF and ICOM 746 Pro 2 for HF. Cool. Oh yeah, there's tons of stations, WF7 Iombro. I've been looking at every time the codes, tons and tons of calls. Good night, Imad Abbas. Toujours un plaisir. Indie Packrat, I was looking at getting a newer portable as I like camping. Is there a significant advantage to the newer portables versus an older used portable? You know, honestly, not that much. Now, let's be fair about what we mean by older, okay? If you compare this to an older 80s portable radio, yeah, there could be a difference. One of the significant differences also is that the radios today tend to use a little less power. They're smaller. But if you talk about, the last 10, 15 years, 20 years, radios have come a long way and are at pretty much, the maximum sensitivity and quality they can get and reception. It's mostly choosing the right model much more than anything else, honestly. Yep, they are going to release the H501 and Texan 990 at the same time. But they are probably going to be the last ones. WF7i, I'm a Gen DXer. Like that. V3VTG 65. I think 65 qualifies you as a Gen Xer. I don't remember the exact range for Generation X. And they called us the Gen Xers because we are the lost generation. We were the first generation where both parents needed to work to pay the bills, and we were left alone a lot. Prasad, not really, not exactly that. Texan is not going the Sony way. It's still gonna produce some specific models of shortwaves, but it doesn't want to do high-end radios anymore. It's the last. They did say we're the last. Actually, they were saying on the Shortwave listening blog that everybody was surprised that they actually did 2 new radios of that higher end receiver, because I mean they are going to continue to make the cheaper models that are popular because they're cheap. But from what we understand is that it seems that the higher models that are much more expensive are not selling that like they used to. And, you know. William KC9 TBN. Born on 43. So you're a New Year's baby. Feel too old to boom. Of course. Well, Sony exists, but Sony doesn't do any shortwave radios anymore. What Prasad meant, Bullfrog, is that Sony does not produce any shortwave radios anymore. They're concentrating on other types and consumer stuff. Simplio says, I heard in Asia price is the driving factor. Yeah, well, you know, not just Asia, honestly. Look at us. I mean, we are a exception to the rule. Take care, Tristan. We are an exception to the rule, and meaning that we guys are capable of buying a radio that's much more expensive. And even that, look at all the comments. Look at all that's happening. Honestly, when you look at the comments on my channel, when you look at comments sometimes here, you know what? The biggest problem is there's a lot of people that don't have the money for a more expensive radio, first of all. In Asia, you know, the salaries in Asia are not the salaries here in North America. You know, buying a $200 radio here in North America is probably easier than a lot of people around the world can afford. And even here in North America, it's a pretty big amount of money. So price is a driving factor of a lot of things, and shortwave radios is probably the same. You know, I mean, the Texan PL990 and the H501 are going to be more expensive than the average shortwave radio that we usually buy. And it appeals to a specific market. Not everybody wants to pay that amount of money for a radio. We are different, you know. I mean, people that follow me here, and people that are, you know, there's quite a few of us that have $1,000 radios, you know, and we are of a different breed. Not everybody not only can afford a radio like that, but not everybody wants to pay such an expensive amount for a radio. That's the thing happens, you know. WF7I awaiting. Anyone else awaiting for the Ethon Elite Satellite early next year arrival? I love the previous one. Got in line for this one. So yeah, you know. Once again, these are more expensive radios, you know. Bullfrog89 says, prefer to buy quality over price. I want to buy something once. I take the time to save for months and months if I have to. Rufus Newt, Sony produces very little direct consumer products. Sold a badge to a few manufacturers. Metalmon88 says, nice channel. I'm going to get on 3916 for a while. I have about 40 minutes until trivia. Take care, KG5YML. And don't forget, we are here twice a week. Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, 0 UTC. And we are on Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, And that's 20 UTC. Yeah, well, they did say that both the 990 and H501 are they're kind of hinting that they're going to be hard to find outside of North America, and actually outside of China almost. So, you know. So, hey guys, I'm going to once again paypal.me/shortwave paypal.me/shortwave, and of course PayPal at the Yahoo email that you see here. This is where you can give a little something. You can be a patron at patreon.com/radio and computers, and of course we will thank you all for the donations. Obviously, I've now basically got to buy that Ernie in the Bathtub radio. Hope you enjoyed the show today. Been on for 2 hours and 26. Not bad for a Wednesday evening. And basically, it's been a lot of fun to be here as usual. Thanks to the guys for being great fans. Facebook group, don't forget. Facebook group, official SWL channel Facebook group. Great place to be. As we will, of course, be, it's an extension to the live shows where you can post pictures of your radios and receptions and your logs and what's happening in your radio world. Great group, lots of fun people, lots of activity too, which is a lot of fun. So take care, everybody. Join the Facebook group, have fun, and we will be back Friday. 20 UTC, 3 p.m. Eastern. Hope you enjoyed the show, and take care, everybody. We'll take it easy for the rest of the night here, 9:30 p.m. I'm gonna do some radio listening for the rest of the night probably, and share what I listen to on the Facebook group. So if you guys are there and want to follow, I'll be posting some of my radio finds for tonight. So take care, have fun, everybody. Love you all. Hey, Yarabamba. Nice to have you here. It's cool to be here. I hope you enjoyed the show as usual. And Friday, we will, of course, be here once again, 20 UT. So Friday, I was thinking of maybe doing a little bit of my old QSL cards and maybe do a little of going back in time of radio. So we're all going to cry over our computers and TVs on YouTube. Take care. Stay safe. Hope you guys had fun. It's always fun to be here. And see you Friday. 20 hours UTC. We're here twice a week. Don't forget. And stay safe, my friend. Take care. Jason Wallace from New Zealand. It's fun to see people all over the world. New Zealand, Australia, Bangladesh, India, US, UK, people from everywhere. I mean, it's crazy. Crazy when you think about it. Stay safe, my friends. Okay? Bye-bye.